that's when we found the pipes were collapsed throughout the lower level.
Might mention the fact that we evaluated inserting an inflatable pipe inside of that. The cost ended up being more, surprisingly, than what is presented here today. And there's some other negative factors with that. There's a little, the flow line at the bottom of the sanitary line is basically gone in between the connections that were been made. So you would put a fillable inside the sanitary line. You would have had waves, basically, so you're going to impact the flow, which is a huge negative. So best recourse is to do what we've proposed here.
Yeah. I think in the long run, it will serve the county better. The what? Yeah, toilets flush. Well, they'll flush before that. They're maybe not go anywhere. All right. Any questions on that?
Other than, what's the likelihood of additional discovery as we go?
On the sanitary lines?
Well, maybe just in general. Probably, I'm assuming sanitary line discovery is finished and then.
It should be finished. Really, in general, everything has been pulled out. I can't think of anything else that we haven't opened up yet.
We've opened up every inch of this building.
Everything's exposed,
Everything's exposed.
no more ABC or whatever.
Yeah.
No more ACM.
No more unforeseen ACM paneling outside of what we've discovered. Yeah, I think we're in a good shape with where the building's at now to identify any issues that we haven't seen yet, which we're actively working on, and we hope that we have gotten them all.
Then we can move on to change order number 10. It is the material required for the structural steel replacement at the deck. We had spoke about this briefly, I think at the last meeting, where we had noticed after all the ceiling was removed, there were sections where the deck had been crushed, and that we were looking to replace that. And then there's some additional insulation in there so that we can marry up the deeper metal deck with the deck that is allowed to stay in place. I can go into a lot more explanation if you'd like, or.
You want to mention the steel work that needs to be done, the supports underneath the decking?
Right.
For those areas that are required by our structural engineer?
Yep, there were 16 more beams similar to what you saw that were being inserted on the lower levels to increase the strength of the floor where we have large storage rooms. So it's a very similar detail. In fact, I think it's identical.
Same exact detail, yep.
So we'll just be doing that underneath the roof to carry the load of the rooftop units. That was
$458,239 and some change.
Yeah, it's approximately 7,500 square feet of pulling off existing deck, 1.5 inch deck, which doesn't meet the span distances for 6-foot spacing, and replacing it with the appropriate 3-inch deck. We're hoping to achieve 500 square feet a day on a good day. So it's just a long, tedious process, being that all these decks are welded to the joists at the current condition.
I'm still on. So how was this discovered and what other options did you consider?
We did consider removing all of the deck, all of the 1.5 inch deck, and putting all new 3-inch deck down. That cost was a little over $500,000, $530-ish. Really, the areas in the center of the building, the spacing on the 18-inch trusses are at 4 foot on center. So the 1.5-inch deck can span a 4-foot spacing. The issue became on some of the perimeter bays, they went to 16-inch joists at 6 foot on center. In some areas, it was like half random. And it's not even really a regular 6 foot. It's like they were kind of 5 foot, then there was 6'6", and then it was 5'4". There's a lot of things that we thought about. One being they ran out of material and they were like, well, we'll just space them out a little farther. I don't know why it would ever have ended up at that odd of a spacing. But the problem is that the 1.5-inch deck cannot span the 6 foot spans between the joists. And the 16-inch joists cannot carry the load of the rooftop units, the new rooftop units.
So we're adding more weight than was there before.
Yes, and had they been the 18 foot at 4 foot on center, we would have been fine, or the 18-inch at 4 foot on center, sorry. We would have been fine, but the 16-inch deep joist at 6 foot-ish on center, it will not carry those new loads. And the 1.5-inch deck will not span that distance. You can see there's deflection already in the deck.
Mm.
It doesn't carry the normal load of a regular air handler at the moment.
Mhm.
So it's definitely a safety issue as well. Just putting new units on the roof.
Remind me how you found it? How did you find it, or
He removed all the ceiling
moved the ceiling and then saw it?
and
Moved
saw
on the
it.
ceiling, just got the full big picture, and that's when we kind of noticed that the spacing was not lining up like it did in 99% of the rest of the building, and that's when we started seeing the deviations in the deck, along with walking on the deck. There started to be pooling and spots on the roof that would hold water after rain events. So then that brought in the roofer to express concern over not giving you a gold standard warranty due to these pondings. So that kind of led into getting the deck replaced, which will honor your warranty for a gold standard roof system as well. So there's a lot of benefits to the new deck, but one is safety, and also it does bring in a roofing warranty to the gold standard. So
Yeah, that was one of our other issues, was that even with the board insulation, you don't want that board insulation to span the dips in the metal deck, because as soon as someone walks across it, it has a potential to snap, and then your membrane is compromised.
Was it original design defect, you're saying, or construction? You can't tell.
We didn't ever have the structural drawings. So our structural engineer had gone out and popped a few ceiling tiles in that area. Everything he found were the 18-inch deep joists at 4 foot on center. So that's what we used to do the calculations on the entire deck. And so we were very surprised when we saw the 16-inch.
Yeah, to really evaluate, the only way to do it is to pull down the entire ceiling, take out the existing HVAC, plumbing, get it out. And once Born Russo had accomplished that, it really stuck out like a sore thumb what the problem was. We knew the roof was soft in some areas, but, you know, there were definitely some shortcuts taken in the construction process that we found with the building. The 16 tall pieces on the exterior with no insulation, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
how can you do that? They did it, you know, just 1.5-inch board up there to stop Mother Nature, and whether it's hot out or cold out, just crazy.
Kind of sounds like my deck. I hope it's not $450,000 for
Yeah.
replacement, though. My deck is almost just as bad. Well, thanks. So in other words, you couldn't have discovered during your initial walkdowns because you're just randomly looking at panels, right? You're not pulling every panel down, you're just...
you know, as we were looking, and believe me, we spent time on ladders, popping ceiling tiles out, but it's a big ceiling,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
you know,
Understand.
and it's,
A lot of utilities up there that hindered your viewing too, which is kind of the problem as well. And then just furniture in the way, kind of access was limited and just kind of one of those unforeseen issues.
Okay, the curtain wall, so this is related to when we removed the panel, it was a angular, like V-shaped panel between the 4th level ceiling and the 5th floor. We found some additional structure in that cavity that would not allow the curtain wall to be continuous from the 1st floor up to the 5th floor. So this change order allows for us to insert a panel, a solid panel instead of a spandrel panel into the curtain wall system and bump out around that steel that's in the, basically in the way. This change order also removes some of the vertical mullions and does a structural glazing so that with the additional, with the idea that we're going to glaze this system, or we can reglaze this system from the inside, and we have smaller panels, the elevations got, for lack of a better word, a little bit more choppy because the horizontal pieces are a little smaller, so we decided we should butt glaze those and make the building read a little bit more vertically. But those are really the two items in there.
Thank you, sir. I don't understand this one. So is this something we have to do or need to do, or is it a want to do?
The panel, the solid panel between 4 and 5, we're gonna have to do. We've tried every other way to try and get around that steel with the design that we had originally, and we just can't get there. The glass, the vertical mullions will just not be continuous because of the steel.
And in addition to the steel, the 5th floor slab sticks out from the floors below by 6 inches around the entire perimeter. So
That's right.
we'd have to bump out the glazing by over a feet, but then at that point, you're infilling 4 levels of exterior glazing on every floor, and that cost to fire rate that assembly would be much higher. That was another option that we looked at, but this is going to be the easiest and cleanest option from installation standpoint, as well as cost and time.
Okay, thanks.
That is.
Yep.
Where are we on like our contingency plan? I mean, didn't we have like a 10% contingency on our cost overruns?
we've got approximately $1 million as a contingency, which we're coming close to. And talking with Tammy, there's additional funding available
Okay.
should we need it. But as was mentioned earlier, Jeff brought up, and with Austin and Carla, we're pretty optimistic that, you know, we've opened this building up completely now. There were some surprises, obviously the sewer line, have no idea what the heck they put down their sewer line to eat away at that pipe. black pipe, but they put something down it. That was a surprise after we'd made 4 connections, and found it to be in okay order. But we really believe that there's nothing that is gonna pop out and surprise us from this point. The last thing that we found was the asbestos in the 4 corners, so, and we're just not ready, have not got final pricing and how we're gonna remediate that issue yet. So that'll be at the next meeting.
Okay. I just, you know, we had a number of change orders last month, and now we got a lot more this month, and I'm going,
Yeah,
we're, sorry about that, but.
Should the facility committee approve these, we're gonna be at approximately $842,164 with the change orders, including the 3 presented today.
Okay. All right, so do we have a motion to approve these change orders?
Oh, just one more. Man, it's just been a long day. So, what's the process when we hit our limit? Is there a procedure, or go back to the well, go back to the county board, go back to whatever? Once we hit your 10% contingency, what happens?
What's the procedure?
Yeah, the process.
Well, we're not there yet.
Just one more meeting, we'll be there, it looks like. So-
We're yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we're 100,000 or so away.
Yeah.
So, you know, in a 20 million building, it's certainly a concern. But we think everything else is in position. We don't believe we'll have many more surprises. However, we did chat with Tammy, and there's additional funding that is available should we have an issue. She's actually tucked away about $1 million to be able to, there'll be some other costs for the building, moving costs. We haven't finalized, we're talking about maybe some software to be able to use metal detection, weapon detection as you come in the door, some things along those lines. That's not gonna be $1 million, but that will be you know, under a 6-figure number, but there's funding available, so.
Just really quick, there's a number 12 on the change orders, floor plan changes, question mark, is that?
I listed that there, that's out there. We made some minor floor plan changes to the 3rd floor, 5th floor, and have given those to Bailey Edwards. Carla's given them to Austin, and we're just waiting on a price from Braun Russo to be able to bring back to the committee. So I don't anticipate those are, there are some savings, because we're not gonna create some offices in some areas, so there's door savings, HVAC, you know, and there's some offices that are already in existence, so it should not be that much, frankly. You wanna go out on a limb here, Austin?
No. I haven't got them all back yet,
Yeah.
so.
We tried to, like, if we were having to add a door, we tried to remove a door from another area. I think there were 4 total doors that had to be added, after we took away some of the doors. So they'll have, obviously, hardware sets. I think they ended up having Panics, but not the security hardware, so we tried to keep it reasonable.
Okay, do I have a motion? Mr. Wilson, second.
Second, Ingram?
Second by Mike. Discussion or further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes with not a very elaborate aye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you being here.
Item C is update.
Yep.
Stan,
So,
just microphone one here.
so the, excuse me, in the packet was the finalized agreement with Verizon. We went back to them with a 30-day proposal. The original agreement that is still in place ended on May 31st of this year and gave Verizon 90 days to remove their equipment, which really put it at August 29th. They had expressed a number of times that, you know, they really needed our building to have their stuff on it to provide a signal for the folks in downtown Urbana that are customers of Verizon. We were pretty adamant that they needed to be off the roof. They have a lot of weight that's up there, a lot of equipment, and frankly, the equipment's dangerous. Microwaves, in order for us to do our job from a maintenance standpoint, getting up and working with the equipment, we'd have to call Verizon anytime we really need to get on the roof. And that's just not something that we should be doing. If we've got a problem up there, it needs to be dealt with immediately. You got an office building on 6 floors, and if you've got HVAC equipment that's down during the summer, that's just not, you know, we can't wait 4 hours for Verizon to show up and shut their equipment down. So, anyway, we went back to them for 30 days with the real intent of assisting them, but at the same time, our roof has been delayed because we're waiting for this meeting to occur. Once passed, hopefully we can get the steel ordered and get the roof decking ordered. The roofing material and insulation has already been ordered and received, but we're just waiting on those other things. So the 30 days helps Verizon, but it also opened up an opportunity that if they accepted the 30 days, to have them remove their equipment by July 7th at 4 p.m. So that is a huge win for us. We had an issue about 3 weeks ago with Verizon and their equipment. We've had Verizon and 4 other fiber internet providers that had at one time providing signal for folks who had leases for County Plaza building. Had them in, they met with Austin and the team, walked around the building. Verizon was in, walked around the building, showing, you know, exactly where everything was. Most of their equipment was in the way of pulling stuff out of the building and prepping it for construction. At no time did anybody ever allude that Verizon was using AT&T gear and equipment to get a signal either in or out of the building. So when we took the AT&T equipment out, based upon what they had told us and agreed to, Verizon went dark for 2.5 days in terms of downtown Urbana. Well, that created quite a stir for Verizon customers. And I think they finally got the picture that there was maybe a bigger issue that they needed to deal with because they had, frankly, not taken care of business and provided another outlet for their microwave equipment to go to. So they have since contracted with whoever owns it, but there's a tower next to MTD. There's been a flurry of activity we've been watching as we drive by at the base of that with some Verizon vehicles and electric contractors. So it appears they're finally trying to do something to resolve a problem that would have been a big impact to Verizon customers in the downtown Urbana area. So bottom line is, though, I think they were happy to have a 30-day extension. We're elated because we get the equipment off the roof by the 7th at 4 o'clock. And if they can't remove it by then according to the document, we will remove it. So anyway, thank you for allowing us to move forward with that. It's a huge help. If we would have had to wait till the 29th of August, there would have been a significant delay in the project as well as a significant increase to the budget. So,
Any questions for Dana on that issue? Seeing none, we'll move on to item D. Update on ITB number 2022-009, satellite jail consolidation, Reeves Tech Reed Architect, Chris Beezer? Okay, I was close.
in your packet, while Chris is pulling out a flash drive here, there were some drone photos that basically showed the construction site. Footings are basically in place. I don't know if you drove by and looked over there as you came in this evening, but they've actually started the CMU, the concrete block work, along the south face of the new building. And so it's moving along. They're moving more dirt. So, Chris, are you up and ready?
So I brought a few pictures, just these are from a couple days ago, maybe yesterday. You can see that most of the foundations are in place with rebar sticking out, ready for walls. A lot of the underground plumbing is underway. Also underground electric will be also happening. I'd say the foundations are probably about 90% complete. They left a section open for vehicles to come in and out of this pad area for doing the underground work. See some of the areas that haven't been done just yet. The plumbing. You can see on the distance the scaffolding, masonry work has begun. You can see some of the block has already started to be laid. I'm sure this has gotten farther now since yesterday, but walls are starting to go up. And just general overall. So everything is progressing.
So you can see the large PVC. There's also electric work that's going on, and it's going underneath, and it'll be underneath the slab, but, be brought up through the walls for where the interior and some of the exterior walls are. So all that work has begun. Chris, were they thinking like a month and a half on CMU work?
I believe so.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot
Yeah.
of work because pretty much every wall is masonry. So
Yeah, it's all masonry and all hand done. But so over the next 6 weeks, I think you'll see a dramatic impact to the property back there as those walls go up. Key is get the thing enclosed before the end of fall. So I know the farmers haven't experienced much moisture. It's supposed to be a very wet summer. moisture is going to impact anything we do out there as we're building CMU walls. So we're hoping the farmers get most of the rain and it stays out of Urbana. So, but the project is moving along. Prior to today, they had submitted 2 pay apps for about $409,000, which is, kind of a drop in the bucket for a $22 million project. But they did get their pay app in today. Hopefully you can sign that tomorrow after you look at it and approve it. It's important for our bond folks that we need to get a percentage met by the 16th. So if we can get that tomorrow, we'll get that cut. But they submitted a pay app today for 1.6 million and some change. That's for basically the last 2+ months' work. There's a lot of Stark Excavation has done a tremendous amount of excavating and moving dirt. In fact, the change order that we submitted last meeting for, I believe it was $183,000 to increase the size of the drainage retention pond area and to move dirt. We were able to shave off of that about $22,500 by keeping the dirt on site, not trucking it elsewhere. So we're going to pile it on site, contour it, and plant seed on it. Similar to what was done with the previous, when they first built the satellite jail, they did that to the east side of the property. So we'll continue that. That just a smart savings. So that change order was reduced to $168,000, which is obviously helpful. And we'll just roll right into those. So there have been 5 change orders issued so far, totaling $224,000. The largest is the drainage retention. We had the one surprise, and there are not too many surprises for a brand new addition, but we did have a surprise with fiber that we talked about at the last meeting. That county fiber and I3 fiber that go into the building on the southwest side and leave the building on the northeast side and head over to JDC. That's been rerouted, bored, and out of the way now forever of the project. And then the other large one was when the building was designed, the architect put in 2 water coolers, thinking they were in kind of an open area, not necessarily the day rooms behind the cells or in the cell area, and they were not security conscious water fountains, and Captain Vogus picked up on that and brought it to our attention, and so that was taken out, and we've ordered the appropriate security-minded water coolers, which can't be taken apart and used as weapons. So that's a kind of a one-piece exterior, stainless steel. So, other than that, there's not been many surprises. Don't believe there'll be many. It's not like the other big project we've got going. But it's moving along nicely. PJ Her has been terrific, very similar to Born Russo. Lots of communication, and been great to work with. So,
Questions for Dana or Chris on this project?
And one is curiosity. And why not precast walls versus CMUs? Is it just cost-wise, or?
Cost was one aspect of it, but it's also lead time.
Mike,
Sorry, I thought this had turned off on me. Lead time for precast walls at the time we were designing the building were a year plus out. So the idea was time conscious as well as money. So in order for us to design a building that could get built in the time frame we needed it to do, the CMU and brick were the better options.
Okay, there's less labor for precast, right, just different labor,
Yeah, it came down to timing.
just came down to timing, okay.
Yeah, we really vetted that out, frankly, with them, because obviously we've got precast in place right now. But, you know, they proved to us that CMU is the way to go not only from a cost standpoint because of the longevity of giving and ordering the precast, but just in general. It's a good product. A lot of jails are built with it, so
Yeah,
feel pretty good about it.
it's been a while since we had those conversations, but I believe when we first brought it up, we had contacted several contractors around the area, and they were giving us 12 to 18 months lead time, which is really just not something we could deal with.
And then just one more question. If I was a public person, which I am, except for right now tonight, it just seems like a $10,000 water fountain is incredibly high. Is that, it's almost like the golden seat on a toilet somewhere on some airplane, but that's the standard cost for a security type water
Security,
fountain?
yeah, security fixtures are extremely expensive.
Okay. Thanks.
Anything else for Chris? If not, thank you, Chris, for the updates. Other business from anybody? I have none. I have no reports. August 8th of 2023 is the next meeting. Do you want to leave a contingency just in case there's an emergency in July? I'm not going anywhere, but, I mean, normally July meetings are canceled, but if something comes up, I am available. That's true, okay. All right. Designation of items for placed on consent would be 6B, items 1, 2, and 3. I have nothing else, so I will adjourn this meeting at, looks like 7:15. All right. Thank you, Warren Russo, Bailey, all of you.